Busy day for everybody.
Yes, that's right. But important days. Nice to see you again.
Washington?
Good to see you. Yes. It's kind of before I went down there.
Yes, exactly. Sorry. Good to see you. Very nice to know you. Yes, that's right. And of course, you know the gentleman at the back here?
We haven't met. Oh, yeah. Good to see you. Peter Thompson. Yeah.
I'm back there in Washington.
Royal Highness, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Bulamanak, and a very good evening to you all. I'm pleased and proud to welcome you all as we launch the world's first relocation fund for people displaced by climate change, and to finance the relocation and rebuilding of our national infrastructure that is increasingly being besieged by storm and rising seas. As those of you from Fiji know, we are already moving entire communities out of the way of the rising seas that have inundated their homes, ruined their farming land with salt water, flooded their ancestral burial grounds, and left them vulnerable to landslides. 5 years ago, Wundongaloa village in Vunolevu became the first community to be relocated, moving 2 kilometers inland to escape rising waters. Since then, 2 more communities have been relocated. A number of others, at least 45 in the near future, will need to be moved in the near future, as I said. For a country like ours with limited means and a young population, dealing with this challenge, which has been caused through no fault of our own, has become an increasing burden. That burden seems certain to worsen as the impacts of climate change become more intense. Not only the rising seas and the impacts on our agriculture practices, but also the entire weather events that pose an ever-present and worsening danger to our people and our infrastructure. Of course, it is not just the monetary cost of relocation that is a burden on a nation like Fiji. Even more incalculable is the trauma of moving, of leaving your ancestral burial grounds behind, or seeing the land or foreshore area you have farmed or harvested for generations no longer being able to feed you and your family. So moving a community is more than just moving a group of houses. It is about rebuilding a community and sense of community. It is about ensuring access to jobs, to schools, medical services, and sustainable living, all of which requires detailed and coordinated planning between a wide range of government agencies and other organizations. And the process must inspire a sense of ownership from the community members, giving them a sense of purpose through the relocation and a sense of pride once they claim their new home. We have already addressed these factors in another world first, Fiji's planned relocation guidelines that we launched at COP24 last year. These guidelines provide us with a blueprint for engaging our communities in the process of relocation, ensuring proper coordination between our various agencies, sensitizing the process along the lines of gender, and taking into account how marginalized groups, such as children, the elder, and those living with disabilities should be catered for. The relocation of infrastructure is going to be another significant challenge as the impact of climate change really begin to bite. Anyone who's been to the Fijian island of Oahu, the site of Fiji's first capital, Levuka, knows that the road that circles the island is right on the foreshore, is being inundated and washed away. And there is other public infrastructure across Fiji, such as schools, medical centers, and utilities that has to be moved out of harm's way. We need to arm ourselves with the ability to act now. We can't wait for communities to be drowned out by the encroaching tides. We need a holistic approach. We need adequate resources, and we need it now. Our new trust fund is undeniably one of the most effective ways that we can help our communities adapt to climate change. And it is also undeniably one of the most effective ways our international partners can support our adaptation efforts. We are seed funding the trust fund through a percentage of the revenue from our Environment and Climate Adaptation Levy, the ECAL, and henceforth on a regular basis. Based on current projections, the annual allocation from ECAL will approximately be $5 million a year. But this is not enough. We look forward to additional support to undertake this enormous task. And Your Royal Highness and friends, I now have great pleasure to officially launch Fiji's Climate Relocation and Displaced Peoples Trust Fund for Communities and Infrastructure. Thank you.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for hosting us. And I would like to actually start by saying that I'm sorry. I'm sorry that we need a Climate Relocation and Displacement People's Trust Fund. I think it all made an impression on us this morning hearing Greta Thunberg portraying her frustration that we as human beings have not been able to rise to the occasion and really do something to bring our nature back into balance. But we now have a 10-year window where we all need to step up and really take action to meet this challenge. Now, I'm from the north, really far away from Fiji, actually on the other side of the planet. And up in the Arctic, where I'm from, we have glaciers that are melting. So when I go to Svalbard or I go to Greenland, we see glaciers that are retracting a lot every year. It's really visible. And we know that when the glaciers are melting in the north, the sea is rising in the South Pacific. And of course there are challenges. And I was lucky enough, together with the Minister of Development, to go to Samoa, Tonga, and Fiji in April, and to see this with our own eyes. And I must say that it made a lasting impression, both to see the coral reefs that are being bleached and that are threatened, to see how the villages are struggling to keep the water of the rising ocean away. And this is exactly the theme of this evening's event. And we actually went to a village to see the work that has been done. And it's impressive to see the resilience of the Fijian people doing what it takes to adapt to climate change. But as the Prime Minister knows, the ocean is also the solution. We need the ocean for the future generations, and we need a healthy ocean. And that's why we need to work together also on these issues. And I'm happy that Fiji and Norway are working closely on many issues related to the oceans. This is a sea of opportunity at the same time as there's many challenges. And I think that even though we are far apart, we are connected through the ocean. So I wanted to thank you for inviting us here this afternoon, Prime Minister, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much.
Your Highness, the Honourable Prime Minister of Fiji, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming this evening. We know you have a very busy schedule. And before we play the video, I'd like to just make a few comments as the Honourable Prime Minister highlighted. About 2 or 3 years ago, we put in place an environment climate adaptation levy in place. If you stay at a hotel, you rent a car, you eat at an expensive restaurant, you pay an additional 10%. And from that funding, we're projecting this year we're collecting approximately $100 million, of which we have now pledged on an annual basis to contribute 3% of that towards this relocation trust fund. And as you will see from the video, that, and as the Honourable Prime Minister also highlighted, that the relocation is all about building an entire community. It's not just simply about moving bricks and mortar and timber across, but it's about building an entire community, which is about gender sensitization, about building sustainable livelihoods. These are very critical aspects in terms of relocation. So we look forward to your interest in this. By Wednesday, when the Honourable Prime Minister speaks at the UN General Assembly, you can go to www.economy.gov.fj, where you'll find the entire video and all the details of the trust fund and trust fund account details that will be put up on our website, and we look forward to your participation in that. As the Honourable Prime Minister has also highlighted, that we have relocation guidelines that have been put in place. And this is critically important, in particular if you're going to have a particular level of sensitization to gender issues, sensitization to disability, women, about making sure that they're able to continue with their lives in a very normal manner, about education facilities. So ladies and gentlemen, with those few words, and I know as you have to go, we'd like to thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your interest, the Honourable Prime Minister for launching this. And with those few words, I'd now like to ask the audiovisual people that could start the video. Thank you.
Since when I was small, I had this, high tide comes right into the edge of the village. But now, everything seems to be changing. I don't know why.
This was the level of the trust was happening. So this is started to be the compound of our house before the water started to reach to the doorstep. When this house was already been built, there was no foundation like we've seen before. So, but now you can see the foundation of the house. It's nearly on top of the soil, or on top of the cellar. If you have a look at the house, it's like it's been going down to the right side. And if I explain, it started to crack into 4 parts in front and to the sides. This is the side of the sewer that's going underneath the house, which is illegal.
Kalau mineral lain boleh blok sa lutu gaya pandu, katung sana sin sumora bisa bisi bicu, sa lutu na ba, kita nak waktu bisa tujuan.
Kalau soras ni boleh kan sama untuk sesuatu nama ye. Menanan nor doutor, menanan doutor chega então batal kaya tu nili bucu na morla lá ela chega se
We used to face 2 things during the second warnings, not only the hurricanes, but we have to get aware of the sea level rise during the second warnings. But on the new side, we have to face only one thing, just only the hurricane, not because we are on the higher ground level.
Awe una kacau una matentu, kena total na NTUC, untuk biuki. Tapi kan tu pakai muli bata pakai kena tu pakai kalau tu merani, merani rapina project ni biuki kita kiko sah terus cuma